That's right. And we're back live on Chicano Tube, live on Chicano Street, the Wednesday night show. Mi beautiful linda raza. Hit that like button one more time before I bring the guest on right now. And we're going to go through all the formalities. It's the Wednesday night show. So hit that like and don't forget to subscribe over to the backup channel. Okay. I'm going to put it right over here. The backup channel called Chicano Street. Let's go ahead and run those numbers up. Get that all backed up there because YouTube, sometimes the bosses, when you speak too much verdad, boom, they come down on you y se desaparece. But we do this for the people. We do this for the raza. Gracias to all the Chicano channels. Gracias to all the Chicano pages. I appreciate you more than you know. And then, of course, gracias to everyone, all the day oneers, and of course, everyone inside the members only. Quick formalities. We just dropped the return of Cholo Trucker. Okay. He's the first one in the series of fighting that has run it back. O sea, he didn't just want to get in the ring one time, he wanted to get in the ring 2 times. So enjoy that. Hey, cabrones, that's Merry Christmas from me to you. Okay. And then something else that's looming, a lot of people are getting to me about. We'll see if we drop the paradigm fight. I don't see why not. So we're not going to address the paradigm fight in this and the chisme and the palomitas and the drama and the guerras and all that. No, not tonight. I got mi hermano, my brother from another mother who's in here. I'm going to bring him in here. Yeah, he's been waiting too long, very patiently. Mi hermano Pedro, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, man. Muy bien. Man, I love your intro, dude. Está firme ese intro. I like how you do how it does all the graphics, the pyramids, the indigenous logos and all that. That's firme, man. And then you add the little touch of the oldies. Y ahí está. Ahí estamos.
Well, I appreciate you, carnal. We're actually picking up the conversation from IG. If people haven't seen that on IG, IG Landia doesn't get enough love, man. I got to show IG more love. I'm going to, man. We're going to start doing lives and we're going to also start running the numbers up and doing lives on TikToks. Why not, man? But mi hermano Pete, that's here. I appreciate your time. Hay niveles. I keep saying this, cabron. And what I mean by that is to conversations. I believe the conversation we're going to have tonight is going to be a great conversation. It's going to show people a lot of things, not only respect, not only, of course, we're Chicanos, so por eso cotorreamos and we speak the same Spanglish, a lo mejor, or I don't know, I'm just guessing, you know. But we're going to show them how we should be doing this online, man, without the cuchillos, without the guerras. We're not talking about that none tonight because the guest hosts are just my opinions and I don't bring anyone else, just like no one expects me to jump in on them. But Pedro, give a little short introduction, mi hermano, on where you're from and then your work that you do on IG because you're all over IG, cabron.
Well, my name is Pedro. Yeah, Peter. People call me Pete. And I was born in Orange, California, ahí cerca to Santana, where I was raised. And Santana is a very, it's a very diverse, but it's very strongly cultured city. And I grew up there. At first, I didn't even understand the word Chicano. I didn't even know it existed. Not until I went into high school when I started hanging around with some carnales and they started teaching me a little bit about what Chicano history was and so forth, But all my life after that, I have always had el orgullo de ser Chicano. Whether I was educated or ignorant in some things, I still felt proud to be Chicano. And actually, to me, Chicano was more of an identity than it was a race because my jefita, she's from El Salvador, and if I may dedicate this live to her because today's her birthday. She passed away 5 years ago, pero en paz descanse. I dedicate this to her. She was from El Salvador,
Mm.
and she came during the guerrilla. She escaped and she came pues los Estados Unidos, como dicen, el norte. And, and then she met my father, who was from Michoacán, Mexico. And, voila,
No
¿verdad?
wonder
Ahí
we get
estamos.
along.
Pero,
Even more, no wonder we get along. First, que raza, and then que Michoacán. No wonder.
so, but yeah, simply I created the platform because there were several reasons, but I believe one of the main reasons was I had a vision of what I believe Chicano meant, and what it signifies to me. And a lot of people can take Chicano, the word Chicano, and use it however they feel. There's no wrong, because everyone comes from a different environment, or different angles of an environment that not then that don't necessarily reflect my what I've been through, right? But we can come together and agree on things or disagree, but we certainly need a unity, because that's what it's about. To me, that's what Chicano means. Chicana is unity, is to bring two, maybe even opposing ideas, and bring them together and talk about them, and work for the betterment of our culture and our people and our community. Um, and that's what Chicano state of mind is. It's a state of mind. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of always moving forward, even if it's one step at a time, moving forward to the betterment of our people and our culture and our community, and for it to not die, que no muera. Tú sabes, bring it alive. Even the bad history and the good history, bring it alive, let the people know. And that's what it's about. It's also about helping the community. Sometimes we get people that they're missing loved ones, and they need a platform to bring awareness that someone's missing. Hey, people send me a DM, hey, please, can you share this? Pues ahí estamos, para servir la raza.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes people,
absolutely.
they just want to talk about their culture. We'll talk about their culture. Sometimes we want to bring a little bit of history and showcase it there. And one thing I do want to point out is I don't claim to know all the history of Chicano or Chicana history. I learn as I go, and what I learn, I present. And sometimes, believe it or not, bro, it's not always correct, because you're learning. Todos estamos aprendiendo. It's not like we got that Chicano history in high school or right off when we were born. We have to acquire that knowledge. We have to search it. We have to look for it. It's kind of like being an archaeologist. You're digging for your history, and that's what you do. And so that's what the platform's mostly about. También pictures. I love to. I'm a photographer in my own culture. I love to take pictures of our people, of our cultura, of our community. I've been in on the bad side and the good side. I've been in good events, and also been through some protests, taking pictures. Seeing the people, the reaction, what they're doing. So I've been out there, man, and I'm gonna tell you, man, it's a trip. Es una aventura, tú sabes.
I want to
So
get
yeah, that's
to I want to get to your photos. I want to get to all of that and what you do, because
Simon.
obviously that's I've seen you with Johnny Murillo, and of course I follow a lot of pages in SoCal, and I
Mhm.
see you all up in the mix. But before, let's say this, before the glory, let's get to the story. Let me ask you this: did you have a typical upbringing that a lot of us had, where we grew up in the barrio, grew up in adversity, anything like that? If that's part of your story, or if you don't mind backing up a little bit to give some context of cómo estaba la cosa growing up, run-ins with the law. I mean, a lot of Chicanos have that as part of their story.
Yeah.
I mean, before we do the 180, hopefully we do the 180. Some of us are still 50, 60 years old and think we're tough, but what do you is that part of your story? Could you give a little bit of context of the growing up,
Yeah.
any brushes with the
So
law, and
so
before you get to
for one
Peter
thing,
2.0?
yeah. Well, one thing, I was very fortunate that I didn't have any run-ins with the law. I have a brother. Yo tengo un hermano, y somos lo opposite. Yo era el good guy, y era el bad guy. And we grew up in that sense. And I was always the one que, I didn't really fortunate. I had a good upbringing by my grandma, porque ella es la que me raised me. My mom didn't raise me, and my dad didn't raise me either. It was my abuelita, and she was the one that brought me up, and she gave me that schooling of sabes que you have to do something with your life. You have a good brain, úsalo. Use it for your. That you're here for a reason, and she always pushed that because me and my mom never had a good relationship. We had a very rough relationship when I was young. Después en cáncer, mi mamá, le gustaba tomar, so she was alcoholic. It's something that I wasn't very proud to admit, but she was. And my father, he was, they had an abusive relationship. I remember seeing them when I was a kid, that they would fight. My mom would actually fight back. She was one of those Salvadoreñas that wouldn't let herself be hit. She would fight back. So I would see them at each other, and we're talking about 2, 3 years old, bro. I would see that, and I would see them bloodied and like drunk y toda la cosa. So that shit stayed in my head. Pero luckily, my grandma picked me up, and unfortunately, the good and bad thing about that was that she picked me up and she took me to her home, and I stayed with her ever since, right? But I was separated from my brother, so I didn't see my brother for a long time, and pues it was almost como unos 15 years before I saw my brother again. So it was a tough environment. I grew up in Santana where there was drugs and gangs. The ghetto bird.
Mm.
That was the that was the our searchlight, the searchlight. Things like that. Homies, that you grew up with. You saw them, their route of life, the way they went, and things like that. And I was very fortunate, carnal, that I stuck to the plan. I stuck
Mm.
I stayed out of gangs and I stayed out of drugs. Pero pues todavía it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to overcome. It wasn't easy to get an education. There was things that we had hurdles, but I can say I was successful in that I didn't fall into drugs and gangs. That I can say.
Carnal, I
You
wanna I
know.
wanna relate to you. I relate to you on so many levels. I relate to you also on that. You're talking about your parents and the we have to be these topics. They shouldn't be taboo because what the raza needs to do is heal from these things. And then there's no way if we
Mhm.
keep them bottled up and put a cork on it, siempre, that the healing is gonna start. And so with that, I could relate to you so much. I remember seeing pops knock mom out. Mom laid out flat on the kitchen table, and my sister, I only have one sister, no brothers. She swears that she would take me in the room and all that. I can't remember. I could barely remember
Mhm.
riding a big wheel and two, three, four things as a kid. I remember mostly as a preteen and teen. The only thing I do remember is spending summers in Mexico. We
Mhm.
spent every single. Did you ever travel like that? Have you been to Michoacan?
No, I haven't been. One of the things that happened between my mom and my father was that mi papá was a big time drug. I don't know what you call it, what they can call it, pero era uno que hacía el trabajo allá y acá, ¿verdad? Entonces, cuando se peleaban, mi papá le decía a mi mamá que me iba a robar y me iba a llevar para México y que mi mamá ya no me iba a ver, ¿verdad? So,
Mm.
I was very fortunate because my mom would hide me. Me and my brother would take both of us, and she would hide us, and she would hide us in different houses and different people. And so that was kind of traumatizing at the same time because I didn't know when my mom was going to be back, when I was going to see her, if she was hiding out for a week or whatever. So I never went. I was never taken to Mexico, thankfully. Pero I never did go. But I do remember the times when we would hide in cabinets and drawers, and me and my brother, and they would put those blankets over us, and they'd be like, "Shh, don't say nothing, calladito," calladito se viene bonito, things like that. And
Mhm.
los decían, escóndanse del monstruo, but we didn't know who the monstruo was. We just knew there was a monster. And so
Mhm.
she would hide us and tell us, hey, ahí viene el monstruo, ahí viene el cucuy. Escóndanse ni no diga nada para que no se los lleve. And at the time, obviously, I didn't know, but she was talking about my father, about
Mhm.
him, that he was trying to take us. He was trying to take us to Mexico. So yeah, I mean that's it was like that for a while until was thankfully my grandma just said, you know what, I don't want you to live that life. So she
And then
I went with her.
you went from Santana to Ventura.
No, actually I just in Santana. This all happened in Santana. I moved to Ventura because me apendejé and I got married, bro. Uh,
And you went up there. Yeah, and you
yeah,
went up
but no, but that's a different story. But no, I had lived in Santana all my life. Until I went into the Marines. I got out of the Marines, and then I got married. Um, but no, I had lived all my life in Santana. That's all I knew. Santana. It was like I knew Santana from the border streets to the next town because I would ride my bike everywhere. I didn't have a car
yeah,
back
yeah,
then when
yeah,
I was
yeah.
young, bro. You
Yeah, you
ride your
rode your bike
bike
everywhere.
and
You know everything. Yeah,
yeah,
you know every calle,
yeah,
every
yeah,
business.
you go to yeah, and you know which callejones not to go to and which ones to, because if you go in this callejon, then you're gonna get hit up, or you go around it. Even if it takes you longer, you go around it because hey man, I'm trying to keep my bike. I'm not trying to get it taken jacked. So those things. You know which hoods to go to and which hoods not to go to. Even if you're
Hermano,
not in a gang,
I want
you
to
just
ask you what
gotta
this
know.
exactly. I want to ask you what this comment says right here, just so we could answer it, and then I got other keep the conversation going. I got other questions I want to ask you your opinion on, but it says, why does every Chicano have a different definition of what Chicano is? Do you have the opinion? Oh, well, it's open ended. It could be something, or is there a hard traditional definition, or what do you think of that comment right there?
I think it depends on how you live, como how you lived your life. Different Chicanos live different ways, man. Like it's como uno dice. What is I know, and it's crazy to quote this, but it's in you seen that movie Blood In Blood Out. They said Chicano is not a color; it's just the way you think, the way you carry yourself, and that's just the way I've always handled the word Chicano and how I identify. Yes, a lot of people have a different perspective, or have to them Chicano is a different a black and white definition. Hey, this is what it means. But to me, Chicano was my salvation, bro. The word Chicano, the way I identified, saved me from the bad, and gave me una, como se dice, una meta, un goal, and that's
Mm,
to be the best Chicano I can be in my life. I survived what I survived because I believed in the culture and the identity. Uh, Chicano is also a struggle, bro. Chicano doesn't mean that you're just, you're born and you live off because your parents are Mexican. Chicano is also a struggle, bro. All the things that I struggled in life, that was an overcoming, and that's a Chicano overcoming. That's why I identify as a Chicano. So I understand people not always gonna see it my way, and that's okay, bro. I don't trip on anyone that doesn't see it my way, because they might have lived it a different life or a different way. I know
yeah.
what I lived and I know what I saw.
Hermano, I want to ask you, and thank you for that. I appreciate it. I want to ask you this. I wanted to get your opinion on this. I did a short. It was a couple months ago. It went lightweight viral, more like on TikTok, right? It went lightweight
Mhm,
viral, and it was talking about Chicano culture and cholo culture, and how I differ now that I've done the 180. O sea, now
mhm,
that ya casi hice todo lo malo, and there's only the positive to do now. Now that I've done the
mhm,
180, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, there are two different things, because one thing, like you said, is a lucha, but then the cholo culture, I get it. That's the banging, that's the going hard. And then I'm going to ask you about that, about what you think about, the raza divided, red and blue and colors and all that. But what do you think about the short first before we get to the raza and the colors second? What do you think about the short? Did I tell a lie, or is cholo culture? No, no, that's a Chicano thing. But I mean, I guess the first Chicanos to me, I mean, the first cholos to me were pachucos, as far as I
Yeah.
know. But let me get your opinion on that short. Did you see that short?
Yeah, I actually saw that short. I actually saw it a couple times, bro. And yeah, it did go pretty viral. I did see that. And here's what I think. You can be a Chicano without a cholo. But honestly, I don't know if you can be a cholo without a Chicano, because cholo, to me, according to what I've learned, what it meant was a group of Chicanos that rose to defend their barrios from back in the day, from being from, like, say, from the white community, or I
Mm,
believe even the black community. They had to stand up and go, defend their barrio. And I someone was telling me, one of the Chicanos that does marchas, was telling me that that's how Cholo came about. The defense of their barrios and their community. Now, I don't know if that's wholesomely true or what, but I can understand what you were saying. Um, but definitely Cholo and Chicano culture are gonna be intertwined in most of the barrios in Southern California, and in what we call Aztlan, right? The tierras that were once dominated by Mexicanos, right? That lived there. Um, and I think there's no wrong answer and there's no right answer. That's what I think, to be honest with you. Okay.
mm,
Because, like I said, you might have lived a different way of in Chicano, being Chicano, and there is no wrong way, bro. There, because your way, you feel it is, o sea, this is the way I live, and you might have seen it in a different perspective, and I can't fault you for that, for
mhm.
saying, "Hey, sabes que cholo." No, man, that's too perspective. What I'm gonna say is, the what I say, sabes que, to me, I can't see a cholo without having Chicano in them, because it the history is too, it's like in their blood, bro. It's like it's too intertwined. You can't separate it.
Yeah.
It's like trying to separate chicle from your hair. When
White
it's
from
stuck, when it's
rice,
all dry.
white from rice, and all that. Well, let me ask you this:
you know,
when it comes to those two terms, would your parents be more proud if you identified as a Chicano, or would your parents be more proud if you identified as a Cholo?
that's a great question, and that's a great question. But if were my parents would probably, to answer your question, they'd probably be more in tune with me identifying Chicano. But I believe that if my parents were, in a sense that they weren't from El Salvador, and they were maybe first or second generation Chicanos, and they grew up in the barrios, and they had, the three puntos, or they had tattoos, and they didn't live the life, because I did spend time with families that were set first and second generation Chicanos, and they were more in tune with Cholo culture than they were with, Chicano culture. But they still had that Spanglish, they still had La Virgen, they still had things that were embedded in our culture. So, if my parents were in that environment, I bet they probably say, Cholo. But in reality, my parents would probably say Chicano to identify. They'd be more proud of. But let me go a little bit further back.
Go ahead.
Um, I don't, to be honest, more honest, is that I don't think my parents would even be knowing what Chicano is, or to them, because they'd be like, well, what is that? They're more proud of me serving in the armed forces than anything, bro. My mom was like the proudest person you could see, because I served in the Marines. Esa señora, she would tell the bus driver, the tamal lady, she would tell everyone, bro, that, oh, once we reconciled our relationship as a mother and son, ella le decía a todo el mundo, bro,
Mm.
a la joyería, the one who sold the CDs, oh, sí, mi hijo está en la Marina. And that's how she identified me as my son that's in the Marines.
She was proud of
So
that. She was proud of
yeah,
you
she was pretty proud
serving.
of that. Yeah, she was very proud of that. So I got to give that to my jefita.
Pues sí, pues es que toma huevos, güey. O sea, not just that, they're proud of you. I mean, and then not just that, it's the relationship con mamá y hijo. They say there's a bond
Mhm.
just like there is con el hijo and con la mamá. So let me ask you
Yeah.
this, hermano, segueing over into something that you see a lot in California, really primarily. A lot of podcasters chime in and they don't even live here, but they like to stir the pot. They like to stir the pot on a
Mhm.
divide that happened. Now it's like 5, 6 decades ago. And it has to do with the raza. And of course, it has to do with Chicanos primarily, Mexicanos primarily. And you know what I'm talking about, North and South, red and blue.
Mhm.
Analyzing that situation, what do you think of it? I mean, is it too far deep? There's never gonna be without bloodshed, barrios, flags getting put down. What do you think of the effect on the community about that? And if you had a magic wand, what would you do?
So, the first thing is I don't have a lot of knowledge on the history of the red and the blue, right? The significance of. I just know that yes, it's a big division, right? But you're right; it's very deeply rooted. It is so deep that you can't take it out.
They've
To
made
me, it
movies
feels like
about it. They made movies about it.
yeah. So I mean, it's sad to see. To me, anytime I see a Chicano against another Chicano, to me it's sad, regardless of where they're from. If they're from the norte or south from south or no. To me, me da tristeza ver un Chicano contra otro Chicano. It is heartbreaking, but I understand that there's a history and I understand that it's deeply rooted. I don't have any knowledge on that, and I can't say on that, brother, porque pues like I said, I never did, was never in the gangs, and descanse en cancer, mi abuelita, she, because of her, I didn't turn in that route, pero it does make me sad that um that pues we can't have a strong unity because it it really does hurt our communities. I mean, so many hermanos lost in the battle, and they could have become something in their lives. They could have been something that could have brought our community to a such a progressive, or not progressive, but a higher standing. um and like I said, Carnal, I don't mean to, go out the subject here, but I can't talk about a topic that I don't know very much, other than I know it's deep and it's sad to see. But also I can't, I don't understand. ¿Cómo te diré? I can't comment on something that I didn't live.
Absolutely.
I
No, I
seen
respect
others
that.
live. I seen others live it, and it's
Yeah.
sad porque pues I've lost homies, in that perspective, and I think about them back when I was growing up with them, and we would play canicas. You know how you play marbles, bro? These kids don't know now. Canicas and el topo and everything, and just seeing them grow and then fall into that life, and it made me sad because I don't know when I was gonna see them again. Once I left that hood where I used to live,
Mm.
I knew that was the end, and I was never gonna see those homies again. And so, regardless, it see that tristeza. Well, would they ever come together? Art brings people together, bro. Um, art, music.
Culture.
Maybe that's the key. Culture, maybe that. But like I said, no puedo comment on something que no sé muy bien, carnal. My respects to the lost ones, that the lost loved people that have been lost in that battle. Pero, pues, está
The
cabrón, está
reality of it is,
cabrón.
I hear a lot of people say, or I've heard dead homies. It's a popular saying,
Mhm,
right? And
mhm,
when that crosses my mind, it makes me think the dead homies, they want to be alive.
yeah,
If the dead homies came back, they ain't no more slingshots, no more letter belts, no more khakis, one way ticket out of the neighborhood if they have the means to. If they have the means to. O
mhm,
sea, I know so many people that they won't blow a second shot, man. They got a second shot at life. And so what bugs me a little bit, hermano, is I guess it's the glorification, it's the romanticization. And you've seen it. Even if you take the red and the blue
mhm,
out of it, hermano, you just said you saw it right there. I mean, where you grew up, almost every street, right? Probably had a barrio. And it's similar, just different geographic locations. I'm glad,
yeah,
gracias a Dios, that you didn't fall into that vacuum, because there's another
mhm,
myth. There's another myth, and this primarily
mhm,
is California, that it makes you more of a person on any level of any kind of value, whatever. Si has ido a la cárcel. When I try to break that stigma and I'm be like, no, you should be a big you should feel like a cara de pendejo that you went and not stick your chest out at the party and think that I'm something, because in Mexico, la oveja negra que siempre cae en la cárcel, la avientan.
mhm,
Pinche Rudy otra vez salió de la cárcel. So
mhm,
there's also a stigma out there que, oh, that makes you something. It doesn't make you a damn thing. That was nothing but a waste of time. And I go to the juvenile hall, I go to the youth center.
mhm,
I've been avid in the community now since 2015. It's going to be 10 years when it comes to like gang specialists and other things, right? And that's what I do.
mhm,
And so with that, I know the history of it. They pretty much
mhm.
drilled it. They drilled it inside of us, and then now, in hindsight, out of that, I'm trying to pull as many as at least deter as many youngsters as I can to not fall in the trap and the pit. I mean that because it's a vacuum, and for some of us, we didn't have a choice, man. Our older
Yeah.
brothers in YA, our older brothers running from placement, moms in the game, dads or
Mm,
stepmoms. It's generational.
yeah. It certainly is, generational. I mean, it falls from, family to family to family. We see it all the time. Um, so as far as glorification, I can understand what you're saying. Um, you know, there's this,
Being
yeah, a
50,
certain
60 years
stigma of,
being 50, 60
yeah.
years old on the internet and teaching the kids about, being tough, being in a gang, don't rat, don't snitch. And I'm like, you know what? The most realist guys that I know, the last thing they would do is be on the internet saying that kind of shit.
Actually, to be honest with you, I thought the same thing. There was something that I thought that I'd be like, back in the day with the people that I knew, they would never talk, bro. It was like taboo to talk about shit like that. Even, among themselves, they had their own code, and the way they did things. And to me, when I do see that on the internet, it does make me think, and I'm like, whoa, man, I wonder the homies that I knew back, the OGs that I knew when I grew up, what they would think about this, because I know that there was always hey, no se dice nada, todo se queda, así. Um, but I don't know, bro. I can't, like I say, I didn't live that life, so I can't comment on it because no la viví. What I can say is that um, I understand that coming out of the pinta is a maybe not a success, but it is an overcome of something, right? To be proud of it, pues cada quien, yo dirá. The thing I do say is, what are you doing to better your community? That's what I question. Okay, so you're out of the pinta, you're out, and what are you doing to better yourself and the better of your community? Because um, it's where it's at. The love, the family is in our community, and anything that happens in a community affects everyone, bro. It affects everyone, down to the last kid, to the abuelito that's living in the corner, or the tío that's living in
Yeah.
the, so
Oh
it
yeah.
affects everyone. So, but also there's one thing I can say is I can't bring down that kind of that, because my photography also captures that as well. And there's stories behind these people that some of us don't ever know. I that never walked their feet. So I respectfully, I can say, okay, yeah, these people live their vida, um, and they have their story. Pero también, my question to people is, what are you doing to better your community? Because that's what we need you. That's what we really need, people to come out and say, "Sabes qué, man? We don't want to see you in the pinta. We don't want to see you in prison cells or rehabilitation centers." Because to me, the way I see it, carnal, and it might be wrong, to me, prison systems is a profit
Mm.
for um, whoever is, you know, like at one point, prison systems were being profited by, because they were contracted, I believe. And so the more people you have, the more money that prison system, whoever was handling it, was getting money. And so to me, it was like, fuck, bro, we're falling into the trap. The trap. They want us to come back. They want us to be there because it's more money for them, and that's the way I saw it.
The Brown
That's the
Berets came
way.
on. The Brown Berets came on the channel, Hermano Spencer, and they said there's an imprisoned industrial complex.
There you go.
So,
That's
so
that's
do
that's
you think that's true? And somehow, like I know there's a view out there that when a lot of people, like even in my city, they started protesting officers being in the schools. But I didn't understand the logic because they said the officer in the school somehow attributes the presence of the officer in the school somehow attributes to the youngster going to YA or going to the Pinta. Does Have you heard of
Oh,
that?
okay. So,
Like the school to
I
prison
have heard of
pipeline.
that.
School to
Yeah,
prison
but
pipeline, but I'm like, whose pipeline? Or I'm trying to understand that. Go ahead.
yeah. So I've heard of that, but my intake on that is, okay. First is, there's two ways of looking at it, bro. I mean, um, now what I would say is, with all these school shootings that are happening, I'd be kind of okay with the cop being there. To be honest with you, I because these school shootings are happening all the time, right? But what I can say also, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, is that Chicanos have never had a good relationship with law enforcement, right? The ones who have taken law enforcement. There's been there's been a
Friction.
friction for the longest time, bro. And so when you have a cop at a school, and those students have already ran into the law, even ¿cómo se dice? Without
But
or with.
you're not saying Chicanos now. You're not saying that is still happening now. Is that what you're saying? Because I thought you were
No,
talking
I
about
think
all
it's
these
changed a
pre-civil
little.
rights, post-civil rights, and all this
Right.
crazy moratoriums. That's a whole different time. But now you think there's
Yeah,
still
back
friction with
then.
Chicanos and officers today?
Uh I you know
Because again,
I
there's
don't.
so much shit has happened that the cops are like, "Fuck, we got to wear body cams. We got to watch what we say." I don't know if it's happening as much as it was back in the day. I guess that's what I'm
Well, what I can say is, what I can tell you is that it hasn't the friction hasn't healed. That
saying.
I will tell you. So if the friction hasn't healed or hasn't been fixed, then it's never, nunca va a estar, ah, como, como
Genial.
decir, bien, nunca va a estar bien, porque, bro, you've got Chicanos that have had families that, like, let's say example, I have a tío, and that my tío has another tío that throughout their lives they had, without even saying that they were going through being criminalizing them, they've had run-ins with law enforcement without in, with without intention, meaning that it had happened, and they've haven't had that good. It wasn't good, so
Mm.
it passed from that person to another person. So that passes on to el otro generation, bro. And mira, I'll be honest with you, bro. I grew up in the hood, right? I didn't grow up in. I wasn't a gang. But to me, when I see a cop, bro, I don't get. I don't. I'm not comfortable.
Mm.
I'm not comfortable at all when I see a cop, especially when he's behind me. Even if I got everything legit, my insurance, my
Your
registration,
L's.
and people, yeah, and people say, well, you shouldn't be scared, bro. When I lived in the hood, man, them cops, I'll be honest, they were dicks, bro. I
Mm.
remember one time they got my brother, and my mom was there, and my mom was trying to tell the cop, "Hey, sabes que, I'm gonna take him in. Don't worry. I understand. I think he was, I think he had been drinking under the age or something like that. Something. He was at a party and they caught him, and the cop got him, and me and my mom showed up, and the cop was like, "¿Sabe qué, señora? Si no se me cae ahorita lo voy a arrestar y me la voy a llevar. Así de fácil. Usted váyase allá y no esté chingando." And I was like, what the fuck, bro? Did this cop just talk to my mom like that? I was like, no mames. I was like, I was pissed. But
Yeah.
I knew that if I did something, it would make the situation worse. Right. So these are the things that a lot of us experience and we don't talk about because we just don't talk about it. But
Ron
bro,
Garcia
even as a good
says,
person, I had my run-ins with the law enforcement and they weren't all good, bro, even as a good person. ¿Me entiendes?
"Oh yeah,
Entonces, so if I go to school and I see a cop, I'm not going to be comfortable, bro, because I've already had my experience with the law enforcement and it wasn't good. And so, what I'm talking about healing and healing that friction is healing that relationship, bro. If you if they can see that they can, there needs to be a healing relationship instead of a, oh, like pues como están las cosas, pues it's never gonna change, bro. And that's just my opinion. It might be wrong, it
yeah."
might be right, but that's just my opinion.
And the way I see that is the way that we can gauge that. That means how do we know
Mhm.
something is right? How do we know something's wrong and not just guess it? The
Yeah.
way we gauge that is by constantly getting feedback from the community. That means if community
Yeah.
is letting us know, most of the officers now have body cams. I mean, right here, LA County, Ron Garcia says the sheriff department is about 70% raza. And I ain't
Hmm.
lying. So if there's 70% raza in LA County, then maybe the videos that you see, they're not raza. And then that's why you can go ahead and put a little thing that went out there. Ah, los pinches güeros. I mean, it's true. It's true. When you look at the shootings, como en las escuelas, la mayoría son güeros. La mayoría son
Hmm.
güeros. The guy that shot, it was in
Yeah.
Florida. The guy that shot in Florida and he had a raza last name. I was like, ah, fuck. They're going to
I
run
know
with that
you're
shit
like,
and make us look bad,
"Ah,
right?
que la chingada."
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck,
no.
man.
Yeah,
I forgot what
bro,
his last name
it's
was.
normal. Even I get like that, and maybe it's bad to even have that thought, but it's normal. I had it too because I'm like, man, no vaya a ser un chicano, un hispano, un latino y otra en la chingada. Now los, peor, porque now, it's just like more shit to talk about us.
So do you think
But
a raza police officer, if he does his job, busts someone, is he a vendido?
he's got a job, bro. He's got a job, and he joined he's got a job. The thing is that
Kind of like on Bound
it's
by
so
Honor.
hard.
If what Paco did to Miklo was in real life, would that make Paco a sellout?
I wouldn't call Paco a sellout, but what I would say is that as a member of that community, it's your responsibility to, even with the law enforcement, the way I think is a responsibility to protect the community, not go against the community, bro. And so many times law defines that, and it doesn't protect the community, bro. How many times have they called the cops y la situation gets out of hand worse? That's why I'm saying what I mean is by healing. like they and I think you just pointed it out, but I missed it. Is the law enforcement or these first responders? Yeah, I mean, I wish that they would have a system in which they need to embed and embellish the community, and that's what they're there for. And but in reality, they're law enforcement, not community enforcement. So it's una, ¿cómo se dice?
Did you ever hear
It's a
about what the
hard
Brown
thing.
Beret said? The Brown Beret said that the police were like some kind of slave recovery task force. Have you ever heard that?
No, no, I haven't heard that. But I'm sure that they've got more history on what has happened between Chicanos and Chicanas in history with law enforcement. I mean, there is certainly really very, I wouldn't say sketchy, but really history between the communities of back in the day, especially in LA,
Mm.
with LAPD. I mean, bro, you've got cases and cases of things that were not good for the community, you know.
I think
And
that was
most
statewide
important,
though, not just LA. I do think because it was different times, right? 80s, 90s,
yeah,
different.
yeah,
I think that was
yeah, yeah,
statewide. It wasn't just happening in LA because las calentadas were happening everywhere.
everywhere, yeah. But like I said, it is a hard, it's a hard subject, bro. I can't, I won't deny that. I myself am battle at times. You know, if my son was to want to be a cop, bro, how would I take that? You know, like I'd be thinking like, fuck, you know. But
You'd be hesitant.
it's,
You got an issue with that?
I wouldn't have an issue because he's my son, you know. But what I would tell him is, I would tell him, hey, look, I'm gonna have a sit down with him, and I'll talk to him, and I'll tell you, look, this is what you're gonna get into, and you better be ready because ese trabajo is not an easy trabajo, man. I can say that, but I would still support my son, but it'd definitely be something that it'd be hard to deal with.
Mm,
um but at the same time, like I said, bro, it is, it's a difficult thing. I don't want to say, because I'll be honest with you, I don't want to say, oh yeah, the cops are all good, and uh but at the same time, yeah,
stay away.
there needs to be
You
some
don't
kind
want you
of
don't want a clip like that going out on the internet. A clip like that on the internet.
yeah, okay, oh,
Pedro
okay,
vendido.
no,
Se
because I
vendió,
had my
güey.
history with police officers, and I never, it wasn't good, bro. It was very rare that there was times that I had good, uh maybe once or twice. In fact, maybe my latest one was pretty cool, but most of the time it wasn't good, and I was just being a regular Chicano, bro. I was just minding my own business, and I had my own time. Now, however, I will say this: when I
Driving
was
while
young,
Chicano. That's a charge, huh? Driving while Chicano. No.
driving while Chicano, bro, no, I've had that a lot, especially when I moved over here to Ventura County. They didn't know who I was, bro. I got pulled over almost maybe 3 times, 4 times a week.
Well, that's
I'd
why,
get pulled
güey,
over,
porque
bro.
es que tienes la cara de mafioso, güey. Tienes la cara de
Tenía la
mafioso.
cara de mafioso.
That's
Bro,
why.
I even got pulled over walking home. Pulled over
Let
walking
me ask
home,
him
but
this question right here. You think
uh-huh.
Beanie, that's one of my day oneers right here, matter of fact, Beanie, he's been with me since whew, we rebranded the channel. You think civilian raza, okay, sees the police raza as Republicans? I get where you're saying that. They pretty much in the political realm, red and blue, they pretty much have put um they've claimed certain things like trademarks, right? So now all of a sudden, if you wear an American flag, you're supposed to be a racista. When I was a kid, my dad had American flag jackets and hasta los compas and tank tops. But now there's kind of a
Mhm.
thing where they attach it to, and so I don't know if they see them as Republicans, but obviously the whole Senate, House, the whole Senate, which is the
Yeah,
Congress, and the president, they all went red, and the statistics did show that the people, they wanted a change. I think they wanted a change. I'm not saying red is better, blue
Yeah.
is
Oh
better,
yeah.
but they wanted a reset. That's what I think. What do you think?
There's no doubt that people wanted a change. That's crystal clear. More than anything, crystal clear that people wanted a change. And
So when you see
look,
an
man.
American flag, Peter, is that like, do you get like defensive about it? It's the pinche way, you know,
No,
or
here's
like
what
back
I
in the
when
day?
I see an American when I see an American flag, I see it in different times. Like now, I see it as and I'll just be honest with you. Now I see it right now. I see it as they don't want my kind here. Before, the way I saw it with an idea that in America you can be anything you want, no matter where you come from, what background or what hardship or what country you come from. The red, white, and blue stood for the opportunity to do something with your life. That's the way I saw it as I was growing up and throughout high school and through even while serving. The reason why I believe it's the way it is now, and like we talked about this one time, it's the media, right? And the association with the political climate that it is now, right? With the Trump administration, the Biden administration. There's all sorts of just shit going on everywhere, right? But
O
I
sea,
think
within
there's
the
always
last
hope.
8 years, there's never been more attention on politics ever, 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 ever. Within the last decade or so, there's been a lot.
Yeah, and that's where you also got to look at it that way. Bro, I'll tell you what, I learned more about the way this government runs had it not been for Trump running for president. Why? Because it made me want to understand how this government running. Before, maybe I was like, okay, I'll understand, but no le hacía mucho caso because it was never a, como te diré, like it was never out there. Now that you see how things are going, it's like fuck. I want to know how the government really runs because look at all that's going on. Is it you trying to find the truth, and it's like it's harder than finding fucking who killed Tupac, bro. That shit
Needle
is
in a
hard.
haystack.
Yeah, it's extremely. But that's one thing I will say is that he did bring out the fact that it made me want to acquire more knowledge about how this system works, how the government works. But at the same time, tampoco, a mí no me cae ese vato. I've never really liked him, but
Hey,
that's just my thing.
I had the mayor of Salinas on here. I've had
Mhm.
2 congressmen on here. I'm gonna have the councilwoman who just got reelected, Gloria De La Rosa, on the podcast. Man, when I had the mayor Carnal on the podcast, I was like, "That's it, man. I'm done." You know what I mean? I could retire from this YouTube. I'm out. You know what I mean? I didn't think
Yeah.
me just coming on here, um, 13K in a year and a half, and then again the mayor on here. I'm like, ¿qué más puedo hacer? Well, there's a lot more to do, but what I'm saying is that they always try to push me to get into politics, cabron. What's crazy is they're telling me to get into politics, and I want to make sure, even if I did consider that, to make sure you're pretty transparent, because if you have anything, se va a
Oh
salir.
yeah,
You have any
yeah, that's true.
skeletons, anything, it's coming out. So that,
It's gonna come
that
out, bro.
they're gonna find
Yeah,
it. What's
they're
the
gonna
truth is,
find it.
I'm not gonna bring you into this cheese man. I don't want to bring you into this cheese man,
Mhm.
but there was a
Okay.
podcaster and he got fired, and it's crazy because he still gives advice, and that blows me away. Because if that happened here, and if I came
Uh
out on
huh.
a music video with puros cholos and shit like that, they'll blast me all over the newspapers. They'll blast me all over the TV. I will be blacklisted and blackballed. But there's some cabrones that still have the gall to tell people how to live and advice and how to vote. And they got fired from politics. But I don't want to bring you into that. But what I'm saying is that I'm not ruling it out, carnal, because that is, like you said, really how you can move the needle.
Yeah. Yeah. Mira, si tienes la passion to really want to help people, bro, then go for it. I think if that's really what you want to do, Because if you believe that you want to help people, like you really want to make a difference, then I don't see anything wrong with it. Even if your ideas are maybe the opposite of what oneself, or but you believe true in your heart that you want to make change, then go for it, you know. But yeah, you're definitely gonna be going for a ride, carnal, because they're gonna take out all your skeletons. They're gonna, you know, you're gonna be either the best guy out there or the best, you know, the hero or the bad guy. But it's gonna happen, you know.
That's how
Te
we
van a
make a
arrastrar.
change. That's how we make an impact. Okay, have you seen in on IG Floor in Spanish? Flor
Who?
in Spanish. She has an IG
Oh
account,
yes,
Flor in Spanish. She
yes,
advocates so much for los campesinos and most of
yes.
the stuff that you would hear like in the United Farm Worker Movement. She's always advocating for conditions and all that. You know what? The good
Yeah.
thing about it is those campesinos with the new labor laws, they're getting paid. They're buying houses. They're getting paid good now. Now they're finally getting paid overtime because they used to work 120 hours on a flat rate
And not get paid overtime.
and not get paid overtime, not get paid
Yeah.
holidays. They're working on the holidays. So she propagates a lot for the national registry being open. And that's all the dreamers that now have a long time here that are grown since they brought that program, incepted that program. So she propagates for that. And I get where her politics are. I get it because it just irradiates, right? But I think during this time is when DACA can finally get resolved. And no matter who does it or not, it's like, don't look at the hand that's pulling you up, off the pinchy
Mhm.
side of the montaña. Just be glad that you're getting pulled up. I think it's going to happen now. I think it's going to happen within the next 4 years. That's just my prediction.
I don't know, bro. I To be honest with you, um, that's a
A
I have
full
a
blown
sensitive
amnesty executive order.
heart for corazón for the dreamers, because they, at no fault of theirs, um do they, that they're in the situation they're in. They're actually trying to make something out of their lives, and they're working hard, and at the same time they're being used as, como decimos,
Pawns.
pawns, ¿verdad? Este, look, whoever does do something about them, let's do it for them. And I don't want to see any dreamers get deported. To be honest with you, I don't want to see that, bro, because it'll break my heart. ¿Sabes por qué? Because I could have been a dreamer.
Mm.
You know, it had my mom not done what she done, right? But there's so many people out there that they're just striving to be better, bro. That's all they want to do. Es todo lo que quieren hacer is become something of their lives, and they want to do it here. They don't want to go back to where, maybe, yeah, where they were born, or but that's not a home to them anymore. Their
And
home
right
is
now
here
they're
now.
looking over their shoulders right now.
Yeah, and they're looking, and this has been they've been looking over their shoulders for the longest time, bro. Whether it was Trump, Biden, or whoever, they've been looking over their shoulders for a long time, and that's an ugly feeling, you know.
So I get it
But
when
certainly,
she advocates for that really strongly. Like you said, you
yeah,
have to have desire. If you have desire or passion for something, go.
yeah. But that's one thing I don't want to see is these dreamers get deported, bro, because they don't deserve that. I'll be honest with you. That's what I think. I don't think they deserve that. I think they worked hard. They proved their point that they want to do something with their lives, and they are doing it. Some of these dreamers have become doctors, have become scientists, engineers. Bro, I was born here, and I haven't done shit with my life in that sense, and these people have, and they've done it with all the hurdles they've had. Hurdles with they're not being born here, they don't have the resources, and they still manage to do it. So they do deserve to be here. Those dreamers do deserve it, and I gotta give them credit because
Yeah.
they're working their heart, their corazones, to do something with their lives. They're not, out there doing bad things. That's why they call them dreamers.
Nowadays, it's another thing I try to bring awareness to of the raza is be careful. All these videos that we see, newspaper articles, etc. Because, like you said, there could be a dreamer and they make a whole thing about it. He got arrested. They pulled him. They separated from his family and everything. It reminded me of one video that I saw in San Diego. Okay, they're ripping and this is just to goes to show this discredits the news because now the real
Mhm.
news is the media like me and you. You're on IG. I'm mostly on YouTube. We're the real media, carnal. We're the ones that's gonna give it to the gente uncut. But there was una señora, they got her, boom, and they threw her, and it was a white van, and you probably seen the video. It was a burlote
Yeah.
and a half. Que separating. And it come to find out, esta mona was la reina del sur, pushing bricks
Oh
on the
man.
border and had more bricks than but you don't see that because the news said dreamer or the news said separation. And that's where I think the ratings for the news have tanked because the people don't believe them anymore. I bring a little
Well,
bit of
people don't
awareness
know
to
who
that
to
too.
believe anymore. Yeah, they don't know who to believe anymore because, all this media. I mean, we're talking about CNN, bro. Not to maybe I shouldn't name them, on your
All of
podcast
the
here,
news
but
outlets, it's a
uh,
fair game. They're all fair game.
yeah, yeah,
MSNBC,
they're
ABC, CBS,
no,
Fox.
nunca sabes si están diciendo la verdad or not. Even the Spanish speaking, to be honest with you, bro, they're the worst. The Spanish speaking station, bro, man. Oh man, some of the things that I found out about these stations, I'm like, bro, man,
I
you're
know.
hurting our people. You're really hurting our people.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, you just don't know who to believe. So you have to do your own investigation. You have to do
Mm.
your own research and find out. And sometimes the truth hurts.
Yeah.
How many times have I found the truth and I'm like, shit. Pero it's going after the truth. But así es, bro. Así es. We gotta be our own media. We gotta be our own. Pero pues, mira, even within our own selves, bro. You seen those other platforms? They be pushing shit out that doesn't even help our raza, and that to me makes me
Oh yeah,
sad
yeah, yeah,
también.
yeah. Yeah, like the I call
You
them
know.
clickbait channels. The clickbait channels that they just come up with every day. There's a different bronca every day. And you know what? To keep it honest, I know there's some people like, oh man, we gotta stop. We gotta stop the drama. You know, the drama's in our blood, man. Let's just keep it a buck, okay? No wonder there's novelas from 6 to 10 o'clock every night. Forget about it, okay? That the drama ends. That's a nice little sentiment, but only when the Lord Jesus comes back, the drama's gonna end. So let's get that straight. But let me ask you this, and we're gonna wrap it up. You had mentioned Aslan. That was the land that belonged to Mexico, about 30% of the U.S. back then, and that got lost in a battle. Would you? I'm just gonna read the comment. Ask the guest if he wants the land back.
Um, Here's what I'm gonna say. I want our people to be treated with respect. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's more than anything. And I don't know if land is gonna do that, but I do know that our people, our history, our culture, our community, it needs more respect.
Mm.
That's what I'm gonna say, bro. Maybe it's the wrong or the right answer, but that's what I say because necessarily La Tierra is not really gonna give us that respect. Let's say we get it, bro. What are we gonna do with it? Like we need to. Our people need respect. Our people need dignity. Our people need because we have so much history. Yeah, but besides, I don't think this country's ever gonna give up their land. They would never give up their
It's
land,
a, it's
bro.
a
It's
popular
never.
online debate, and it stemmed
Uh,
from I had some indigenous teachers on the podcast, and I give them free reign,
mhm.
man. Anyone that comes on the podcast, I'm trying to get to know you. Go ahead, have at it. And that the land, I did a short. It said, you know what? The land was taken in blood. One guest said, and it's gonna take blood to get it back. I'm like, chingado, the gente are gonna grab navajas and cuchillos and what are they gonna do? Don't take it literal, cabrones.
I
But
think revolution needs to take in our mind,
mm,
in our way of thinking. Uh, I mean, I don't want to sound como te decía, que we're not fighters, but we really got to think about what that means. Uh, revolution, bro. You don't bring revolution without blood, without someone
Mm.
dying. Um, Revolution is a big thing. It's not a word that you can just, you know, um, it means death, bro. It means people are gonna die, and
But
I
where do
don't know if
Chicanos go
we're
from
ready
here,
for that.
though? I know, where do Chicanos go from here? Do we want to evolve as far as society goes, or do you think we should go back to some rock and roll 60s, 70s brown berets, community policing?
That's a hard question because I wish I could travel back in time, but if I did, I would probably work on our people and our communities. I think we need to move forward with the knowledge that we are a strong people, we are a strong culture, and we are people that we should not be mess with when we come in unity. Because if we had unity, bro, nobody could fuck with us. Nobody, absolutely nobody. No civilization, no country, no foreign, nothing. If we were in unity, we would be one of the strongest unity communities in this world. But we don't have that, right? So your question is, what do we do forward with this? I think it's a long journey and it's a long challenge and it's a big challenge, but little steps always help, bro.
That's right.
One step
Baby
forward.
steps.
You know.
You
I
think
will say
unity of the
this.
raza is possible?
I'm sorry.
You think unity of the
Sure.
raza is possible? And what is it gonna take to unite us? I heard one time on an Eddie Bravo podcast, he said the easiest way to unite the planet is UFOs. Do a UFO invasion, and then a huevo, the gente has to get together. What is it gonna take for the Mexicanos to stop going after each other?
Oh man, that's funny, bro. Look, I may I don't have an answer, but there's something that I did learn when I started searching the history of the Chicano and the Chicana. It brought me together with other people, with
Mm,
other people. Our history, bro, is beautiful. It is one of the most beautiful things that
mm.
when you start excavating it and you finding out, whoa, man, our ancestors did this, our ancestors did that. Oh, you start like it brings you alive,
Wow.
bro. And so I think, you know, um, I think let's not forget our history. Let's continue finding our history. Let's continue working with each other and finding out what we can bring with each other, bro. You bring a certain knowledge, I bring a certain knowledge. Let's put it together and let's see what we can come up with and what we can do to help our community and heal our community because our communities need a healing, bro. We just talked about healing. We just talked about what we had with our community with law enforcement. We talked about generational trauma with our parents and the costumbres that they had on us and the things that they embedded in our brain to tell us that, yo, if you did this is bad. If you did this, things like that. We just need that. We need that. We need these talks, bro.
Oh yeah.
This talk right here isn't the right or wrong answer. It's a talk.
Mhm.
It's a talk to get to know you. You get to know me. We have the hard questions because you gave me some hard questions, bro. That I was like, shit, I don't know what to say, but I say it out of my corazon.
Mm.
So there's nothing wrong with what we did right here, bro. So if anyone comes up here and says, no, vale puro verga or whatever, no les hago caso porque I know what I am, you know what you are, and maybe we can come up with something, not necessarily come in agreement with everything, but we can definitely talk and see what que ondas, ¿verdad?
Exactamente. That's why the platform, everyone has a seat at the table. It's like if you're mature enough to carry the conversation, let's talk about it. And of course, I'm not talking about the two, three cabrones, I'm a guerra with or anything like that. They probably want my cabeza
Oh,
on a silver platter. But as far as in general, bro, I don't carry nada en mi corazón. I don't have no grudges. Nada, nada, nada. I figured I'd been through already so much adversity. I just wanted to survive it. To be honest, I think
mm,
I'm a survivor. I don't pat
yeah,
myself on the back. I don't stick my chest out. I think I'm a survivor of a lot of circumstances. A lot of us are. And here I am to have the conversation, man. This conversation we had, hermano, tonight was one of the most meaningful conversations because we hit on so many levels about upbringings, the cultura, maybe some controversial stuff también. But mi hermano, I appreciate your time. I want to give you the floor one more time. And as far as what you said, that last answer, the respect is everything. That's the only way we can have these conversations. Disrespect is how we can't have a conversation. But when we premise
Yeah.
it on respect, we can have a conversation. But final words, hermano.
Yeah, final words, Mira. I've always carried this in my platform, bro. If you come with me with respect and you have a different ideology or a different way of thinking, I'm gonna listen because I wanna learn. But if you come with disrespect, bro, I'm gonna shut those doors and I'm not gonna let anyone in, let you in at all. But vienes con respeto, bro. Vamos a hablar. Shit, let's have a beer and talk about it, or let's have a tamal, and talk about it.
And some champurrado.
Because I think that's definitely a bridge to unity. Is give respect. I'm sure you've had it in your platform. People come at you say, "Nah, vales ver y todo, whatever." You think I'm gonna listen to that? No, bro. If you come at me and say, "Sabes qué? This is what I learned," or "This is what I'm knowing," I want to share it with you. Tell me what you think, and then we'll have talk, bro. More than anything, I'll be willing to open all years, and I think that's my final take, and that's why I reached out to you, because I know that you would have that mentality of let's talk instead of going at each other and being like, "Sabes qué? No, no, let's talk," and we'll see where it goes from there. So, like I said, the final thing to everyone is, all I ask is that you come at me with respect, and I'm gonna listen to you, and I'm gonna give you feedback.
Mi hermano Peter, gracias for joining me again. We just picked the conversation off. Now it's part two. I think there's going to be a part three. We can take it back to IG because man, I got to show IG more love. I
Yeah,
hope
yeah,
you're. Yeah, we got to show them more love over there. But I appreciate the conversation. Don't forget to follow on Instagram. Have to do me a favor. Go over there,
yeah,
Chicano,
Simon.
Chicana State of Mind. I'll go ahead and drop it in the description. Chicana State of Mind. We're going to pick this conversation up
Yeah.
next time, hermano. Hey, if I don't see you antes de los días festivos, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Año Nuevo. Blessings to you and to the family. I appreciate you.
And yeah, and if I can just a quick minute, hermano,
Sí, sí.
mira, mil gracias por tu time, because time is money, bro. Time is not given to us. We it's going as we're talking, but I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you having me on as a guest on your platform here. It's an honor, and thank you. Sigue doing what you're doing, bro. You're growing. I seen the numbers. You're growing. Síguele. Tú dale para adelante. Todo para adelante. And keep going, and you're gonna see results. Um, So I appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate having this conversation. Very mature conversation, carnal. It was very mature. I appreciate that. And we'll be there on Instagram cuando se ocupe. Cuídate mucho. Merry Christmas to you and your family. And be safe out there. And keep doing what you're doing, helping out those people. Progress and get us out there to be a better community, better community. Que
Hey,
digamos.
that's right, mi
Well,
hermano
gracias.
Peter. I appreciate you. Live on Chicano Tube. We're live on Chicano Street. Mi beautiful linda raza, on your way out, do me a favor. Do two things. One is you're going to hit the like button. And two, when you get off, you're going to go over there to Peter's Instagram and run his numbers up. Chicano, Chicana, State of Mind. Have a buenas noches, mi hermano.
Buenas noches, carnal. All right, take care of yourself, man.
All right, raza. And we're out.